Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. We're going to be doing a sprinkler video. This is my sprinkler inventory. I apologize that this might be a long video, but feel free to skip around. But I'm just going to be showing sprinklers and I'm going to be talking about them, maybe the history of which brand model I'm holding. So, as you can tell, I got a lot. Let's start with some rotors for a minute. I'll kind of just bounce around to different brands and stuff. This is a PGP Ultra, the one that started my first video ever. This one's a 2019. Here, I can get the flashlight. Actually, I'm gonna turn on the flashlight on here. There you go. So, as you can tell right there, it's got a 19. That means 2019. So this was made in 2019. But yeah, this one's currently got the 1.5 gallon per minute nozzle. And PGP Ultras, and I'll do a video more about gear-driven rotors, particularly 3/4 inch in the rotors, maybe a variety. These are one of my favorite rotors now. Now, if you watch my old videos, I used to be opposed to these rotors, like I was against them, but I actually love these rotors now. These are actually one of my favorites. This is the PRB version. I have the 12-inch PGP Ultra still. It's up high. I'll do another video showing that. This is a PRB, so it's got the blue ring. So if you see a blue ring PGP Ultra, same with the I-20, that means it's a PRB, so pressure regulated body. And interestingly, it's not in the stem like the 5000s or a spray body. It's in the inlet, so even though this is a 4-inch, it makes it much taller. Isn't that interesting? Like, it's a little taller, so that's one thing to know. Next rotor. So I'm looking for my regular PGP. Here's the PGP ADJ. So this is the ADJ means adjustable. Now the reason they don't say ADJ or anything like that on the Ultras is because these are part and full circle model, where these are only adjustable arc. They don't have a continuous full circle model. Well, they did, but once they came out with the PGP Ultra, they phased out a lot of the models, so you only get the standard adjustable arc model now. And it doesn't have a continuous full circle. But yeah, the PGP ADJ, this one's a 2021 or 2020. This is a 2021 I got for my birthday. I think I showed this in the video too. I currently have the number 12 nozzle in it. It's pretty big nozzle. This is a Rainbird 5500. Here, I'll show that in a minute. I'll talk about it in a minute. This is a Hunter I-20 right here. These ones are decent rotors, I'd say. Well, they're okay rotors. I mean, ignore my last videos. I actually think that these aren't as good as the PGP Ultras. By the way, this is a 2018 model. So my opinion about these versus the Ultra, ADJs are probably get third place out of the three rotors from Hunter. These three main rotors from Hunter, but in my opinion, the PGP Ultras are better. The reason is I think the seals I found actually be better. I found I-20s, even though they got a stronger spring, you get the stronger spring on these, but you don't get as good of a seal. So I still see these stick up quite often, and because of how thick the rubber covers are, I think these pop off easier too than the PGPs. And then I'd just say these are way more, for how expensive these are, they're not worth the money. I just go with Ultras. Unless if you need stainless steel or flow stop. But even if you want stainless steel or flow stop, go with like a Rainbird 5000 plus, or you can get stainless steel, or if you want something even cheaper, go with like a Rainbird 52SA. But yeah, so I'd say the three main Hunters for the 3/4 inch, first, second, third. This is the Ultra. This is the I-20. This is a regular PGP. Let's see, next rotor. Well, I'm gonna go look for my Orbit one right now. This one takes the design of the regular PGP ADJ. In my opinion, these versus the PGP ADJs, no, there's not really a difference. They're both kind of cheap. They're both kind of cheap heads in general. They're both, I found them to be cheap. But yeah, This one I think is a 2018. But yeah, in my opinion, Orbit just isn't the best brand. They are better. I will say they're better than Toro. I can tell you that. But otherwise, they're I don't know. I think the sorry, I got a notification. Sorry, I got distracted. But I think that ultimately Orbit's a middle quality brand. Even though they're considered cheap, I'd consider them better than like Toro. But Hunter and Rainbow are the best. So this one, I got a cheap one also, another cheap Orbit head. This one's the original older style Voyager 2, so back when they had the older style cap. They still make this cap, but it's only for the plastic top regular Voyager rotors. The Voyager 2's now with the PGP looking cap. But yeah, this one I think I replaced it years ago because it was leaking. It doesn't have a date code on it, so I don't know how old it is. That's maybe it has it on the side of the turret. One sec. Oh, here we go. It's a 2009, or is it 2004? I think it's a 2009, I believe. Here, I'll check my Ultra and make sure I'm reading the right number. Oh wait, no, I don't know if it is a 2009. This one is actually, the Orbit is actually a, let me pop it up, a 2004. So this is an older head then. Let's see, I think I got all my Hunter rotors that I have. And besides that 12-inch PGP Ultra. Let's do a Rainbird now. And get into like their rotors. So kind of the beginning of Rainbird rotors, they obviously had impacts, but the beginning of like their ball drive gear driven rotors, they started to compete with the Hunter PGP ADJ and also the original first generation 920s. They came out with and also the G-type and P-type rotors. Rainbird came out with the R50 around 9, and also the TDR rotor. And these are 3/4 inch inlet. This one's made of 11th of June of 1999. These heads they came out in like the mid-ish late 80s, maybe around like 1985, 86, 87, around then. The original ones, you can tell if you have an 80s one by the screw is a hex screw on the original ones, and then they switched to the flat slot screw. This one's got Radius Plus nozzle, 6 gallon, the green 6 gallon. Let me get it. Oh no, this is a rain curtain, sorry. One sec. Or is it? No, this is a Radius Plus, sorry. Okay, sorry about my flashlight here. Let me block it. Here, I'll just show the nozzles. Sorry about that. So Radius Plus nozzles, they were called the standard ones, but they switched the Radius Plus name probably to get more sales. The Radius Plus ones had like the 2 holes, kind of, so trying to move this. There we go. One sec. Trying to move one of these nozzles. The bag's closed, so I'm just kind of. Okay, here it is. You see that yellow one right there? Do you see how it has like the one big hole and then a small hole under it? That's the Radius Plus, whereas a rain curtain is a little different. They have and I'll do a video on these also. The rain curtain, on the other hand, has like 2 ramps. So, yeah, I'm sorry, this is a mess. I'll show you. I'll get it in a sec. That's a rain curtain right there. It has like the ramps. yeah. And these, oh, and this is a T-Bird turret, T22, 1.3 gallon per minute. That's for the T-Bird, which the T-Birds came out in the early-ish mid-90s. The first generation ones did. This is a second generation one. This one's from, I believe this is a 2002 is when it was made. See, there's the date code right there if you want. Here, sorry about the lighting. I'll just post it in the description or something. By the way, if there's anything you want me to fix on this video, please comment. So yeah, this is T-Bird. This one's got the red 1 gallon per minute rain curtain nozzle. Now with the Rainbird R15 T-Bird nozzles, the red one was made only for the T-Bird, but they fit in R50 if he's on the low pressure stator setting. But yeah, the red nozzle, they only came in a rain curtain. They didn't have a radius plus. But yeah, this is the stator for R50. So you use what says LP, low pressure. That's what you would use the 1 gallon on usually. And then another big rotor, they had the 5000s that came out in 1999, but when they needed a more of a vandal-proof rotor, like kind of like a mini version of the 8005, they came out with the 5500 series rotors. This is a 5505 5-inch inlet. They also made a 5512, so a 12-inch inlet rotor also. These ones were, in my opinion, the 5500 T-Bird and the R50 are some of the most underrated rotors ever. I think they're actually really good. This one's got, I think, a number 8 nozzle in it, the green. And this is a stainless steel riser with a reclaimed top. With these rotors, I like the adjustment. You're able to, just like the 8005 and 7005. 7005 is discontinued, by the way. You could either have you either turned it to this one, which is just a full continuous circle, full circle, or this one part circle, and you could adjust the left and right trip points and radius, obviously, and lift up socket. So these are some of the most rarest rotors. These are the rarest rotors I've ever seen, probably. This one's probably the rarest out of them all. So yeah, so now we're back to a modern rotor, 5000 plus. I don't think I've shown this one. I got this one like early 2021, I think. Either late 2020 or early 2021. The date code is 14th of September of 2020 is when it was manufactured. So this is just a regular 5 plus model. It doesn't have any pressure regulation or anything like that. But a pretty good rotor. And then I got some more Rainbirds. Here's a 5000. This one's a 2017 model. 13th of June of 2017. This one's got the older, well, kind of one of the older style rubber covers. Oddly enough, so if you take a 42SA, you notice how it says like 42SA right here. So the original 5000s, it said that it was just like this rubber cover. It said 5000 right here. They switched to this style like that from 2012, 2013 all the way up to 2019. And then back in 2020, they switched to a logo just like this, except minus it says 5000 right here instead of 42SA. But yeah, they switched back to this. 42SAs just stayed the same, minus the first generation ones. By the way, here's a first generation 42SA. I think these three are all current generations pretty much, minus the rubber cover change on this one. This is a first generation 42SA made in 2007. By the way, so the interesting thing, the 5000s, they had the first generation 5000s similar, minus that it said it didn't have the simple adjust, and it said it was like the current 5000 logo, but in a circular shape. I'll post a picture of it. these were pretty I don't know, not the best rotors. It's the problem with these is they stopped rotating after like 10 years or so, sometimes even less. And so the interesting thing was the 5000s when they came out in 1999, like late 1999, maybe 2000, and then these came out in 2002. They were the same rotor pretty much, minus that the rubber cover is a little different. But then in 2004, the 5000s got switched to the second generation ones. Like they redesigned it, and it has like the current nozzles you've seen now. With that they did that, but the 42SAs they kept making them like this until 2008, and then 2008 they switched to like make it look like a 5000, which I actually do have a second generation 42SA right here, or 42SA plus. Now they have had the second generation ones. This is 2010. The original second generation 5000 42SAs were they had like the same cap, like same top part of the cap like that, minus that they had a that little like hole right here. I think the SAM models had like that had like a screw that would go in it for a SAM model. I think they were to make it vandal proof. And in 2010, like this one, they got rid of that. And then, as you can tell, the canisters have changed over time. So around 2000, so the 5000 plus, they switched to this canister for the 5000 pluses already in 2010. I think because I saw one at the at a sprinkler store that had a 2010 date code, and it was a 5000 plus. So I switched to that. The regular 5000s they kept making it like with these until 2012 or 13. I think 2013 they finally switched to this style for their regular 5000s to match the 5000 plus. So these are my rainbow rotors. I think I got some more. There's a 3500 rotor. It's kind of like the mini 5000. In my opinion, half-inch inlet rotors just suck. They just break fast. Honestly, if I'm doing a small area, irrigating a small area, I'd either do a PGP Ultra with a short radius nozzle, or I'd just do an MP-Rotator on a Rainbird 1800, maybe a Pro-Spray from Hunter. But yeah, this is a half-inch inlet rotor. And I think I got another 5000 in here somewhere. This one's made in 2018. Pretty identical to this one, minus this one's got the packaging. But yeah. So I think that's it for the rainbow rotors. From here on, I'll just now show some mix and match stuff, kind of. Let's look at some K-Rains. This is a Super Pro. These have been around, I don't know when they came out. They've been around since the late 90s or early 2000s at least. But yeah, these are somewhat okay rotors. Not my top choice, but I think K-Rains are best for like easy to adjust stuff, but like I don't know, if there isn't a Rainbow Hunter, this would be my backup choice, but overall I don't really use K-Rain. But I do like the adjustment features, as they're easier to adjust. That is nice, but once I figure out once a person just figures out how to adjust a Rainbow Hunter rotor, then that's all they're gonna really use. But yeah, these are somewhat okay rotors. They're decent, but not my top choice. K-Rain Mini Pro. Or no, K-Rain K1. Yeah, I have a Mini Pro also. They have like the same design, minus the Mini Pro has a rubber cover. But yeah, the K1 on the top of the video, that one was actually my first ever sprinkler I got back in 2017. And then Mini Pro is a 2018. So I think I got some more here. Here's a RPS SELECT. This is the easiest to adjust gear-driven rotor, I'd say, out of all times. So pretty good if you have like a kid installing a system, a little kid. They'll definitely be able to figure this out. But otherwise, quality, and they are retrofittable to PGPs and PGP Ultras. These are better than the regular PGPs, as same with the other RPS 75 and 75i rotors. they're better than the regular PGPs. When it comes to PGP Ultras, they just beat these, in my opinion. Here's a K-Ring Pro Sport. It's got the green nozzle in it. Can't remember which number, but yeah. This one's actually a Seal-O-Matic model. It has a SAM check valve. Yeah, Seal-O-Matic is what SAM stands for. Let's look at this one. Toro Super 700. This one came from a grandparent system. This one's actually not an old head, as old of a head as I thought it was. Oddly enough, it's a 2005. But this one was above ground head. It got replaced with that 42SA back. My grandpa installed a 42SA back in like 2013 that replaced this. I don't know exactly what's wrong with this rotor, but yeah, there was I did have the adjustment piece where that red thing is at. There used to be a arc adjustment piece, but I think I lost it. These ones, now the problem with on my grandparents' system, the problem is they installed all of them with, I think all of them, for I could tell, were all 3 gallon per minute nozzles. They didn't have matched precipitation, so that's one thing. But yeah, and these are like a T-bird. They can like twist off the turret piece, the top part. So yeah, these were actually really good rotors. These were back when Toro was actually decent quality. Like I'd install these if Toro made them still. Only thing I'd change is the radius adjustment. But yeah, these were good rotors. And then they discontinued them in favor for like the T5 rapid set rotor, which, yeah, I like the rapid set feature, but just not. It gets out of alignment. So yeah, I don't use those at all. There's a Orbit rotor. I think this is, I might be mixing it up with a different brand, but I think this is the Pulse Impact rotor, the smaller version of the Pulse. They have a Pulse XL, and this is just a smaller one with a half-inch inlet. So yeah, this one's here's the date code, 11th of June of 2020. Oh no, sorry, 10th of June of 2020. So yeah, this is Orbit Impact, similar to Rainbird Mini Paw. See what's next on the chopping block. Let's do this one. It's like Irritrol 550R. This head's actually almost the same as a Toro T5. The cap is a little different, but similar. Minus it does the different cap, and it has a different rubber cover, obviously, and then a different features. This one does not have the rapid set feature, whereas the T5 does. Yeah, it's basically the same rotor minus just small differences, but they use the same nozzles. I think Toro and Irritrol are owned by each other, actually. But yeah, this rotor, it's an alright rotor. Not my top choice, but the nozzles are at least decent, so that's good. So yeah, I think that's all my rotors. Let me check. I guess this is a canister of the this is the first generation 42SA. But this canister, they kept this canister the same from the first and second generation 42SA and 5000 series rotors. 52SA, same thing. Well, 52SA came out in 2008, so just technically first generation, because there wasn't a old style 52SA, like from 2004 or anything, or 2002. They never came till 2008, so. And that's the same time they designed the 42SA, redesigned the 42SAs. Okay, now on the spray heads. This is a K-Ring Pro S spray. They're compatible to 1800 canisters. I prefer the 1800s though. I just have had way more experience with them, and I've seen way more people use them online. I think just more trustworthy. This is a Rainbird side chip nozzle, by the way. But yeah, these are probably alright, decent. They're probably decent pop-up. Honestly, I'd use any pop-up over Toro, minus these. But yeah, this is the Orbit Watermaster. It mimics the design of. If you watch Stats on Nudge, you know he used to have a system with the Rainbird 2800A. This is the Orbit version. This is Orbit copied that old design. They should discontinue. I don't know. These are just. They have a brass version too. Orbit makes, but they're just cheap cheap design. This is the cheap design. I'd say the brass ones are better because they at least pop down better. The full brass versus the green plastic. The nozzle's brass though. But like all it is that little like black rubber piece that pops it down. So yeah, there's that. Next head, here's two orbits. They're almost matching. I think one of them's a 8-footer and one's a 12-footer nozzle. I think this one's the 8-footer, and this one's a 12-footer. This is a Hunter Pro-Spray. I got a couple Pro-Sprays actually. This one, here's another one. I currently have a. This one has no nozzle. And this one, because the nozzle on this one was an MP-2000 90-210, and I put it in my yard, which I'll have a video of that too. And then here's the other Pro-Spray. It's got a Rainbird 15-foot van nozzle. So yeah, Pro-Sprays have been around probably since late 90s, early 2000s. So I can't remember. One of these was a made in USA one at least, so that was good. I can't remember which one. It might have been this one. I don't know, one of my assembled in USA in 2018, March 14th. And this one, I don't know which year this one is. I think this one's 2017. Pro-Sprays I prefer the 1800s, but mainly because I've seen more Pro-Sprays stick up. But my Pro-Sprays are still good, and I've installed them, and they're still pretty decent. I use them as a backup usually. Like if 1800s aren't an option, then I'll go with the Pro-Spray. Two more Pro-Sprays. That's a 17-foot Pro adjustable nozzle from Hunter, and this is a Hunter MP-Rotator, the MP-3000 210 to 270. So yeah, PRS30, so it regulates to 30 psi, and this one regulates to 40 psi. But yeah, the brown PRS30, these are best for sprays, or use an MP, either the 1000 or 800s. That 800 SR, if you need that really minimum radius of like 6 to 8 feet, then use these. Otherwise, MPs do best with the gray 40 psi. Now, one common error I see, which it's not really a bad thing, but it's not the smartest. It's kind of not worth the money. Let's say you have the PSI coming out of a head is 45 to 50 PSI, or 55 PSI, like something like higher. And you're using spray heads, like a spray nozzle, like the Pro Adjustable or Rainbird Van, whatever you like to use. People tend to install spray nozzles on the gray 40 PSI, which it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's smarter to use the 30 PSI because the 40 PSI, it does regulate the pressure a little bit if it's above 40 PSI, but it doesn't make it as optimal efficiency as the 30 PSI, as sprays use lower pressure. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The orbit brass. They don't make this design anymore, by the way. These are, well, the nozzles they do, but not the cap or body. But these this is a half circle or a quarter circle. I actually don't mind the brass nozzles. They're actually pretty decent, honestly. I'm trying to pop it up. I do like they're a lot like the Rainbird U series. I do like how it has like the second slot for water come out. It's kind of like the Rainbird U series fixed arc nozzle, so pretty similar. So the nozzles are decent. The older style orbit bodies just aren't. They would stick up a lot from my experience. And they switched to this design after. Kind of more of similar, kind of like a Pro-Spray, a little different. Kind of mocks it a little though. I mean, still Pro-Sprays are better, but similar-ish design. So yeah, this used to have a 12-foot nozzle, but I installed that at one of my old houses I used to live in. But yeah, this is the newer design. I think this came out. I think they had this design for a while, but they started like using these like more often in like hardware stores around 2018 or 19. I think 2019 could have been 2018 though. So yeah, I also have a Orbit hardtop with the Orbit's version of the Hunter Pro adjustable nozzles, but it's the Orbit's version. And actually, I think the Orbit adjustable nozzles aren't actually as good. These seem to clog easier, and they seem to get jammed up when like you try to adjust the arc or like readjust it. So yeah, these are cheaper design nozzles. The hardtop bodies are actually pretty decent though. So yeah, here's another K-Rain Pro S spray body. This one's got the rotary nozzle guard with the RN. I think it's the RN200 ADJ adjustable nozzle. This is a rotary nozzle. Don't know how long. I'm not very familiar with like how long K-Rain's made their products for. These could have been around easily 20 years ago. I don't know. The rotary nozzles I think are newer, but the Pro S bodies are older. Minus the rotary nozzle guard, those probably came with these. So yeah, it protects the nozzle. Really good. These are also really handy if you like to use the Rainbird van or He-Van nozzles. I'd recommend using them on something with a guard like this, because the van and He-Van nozzles, string trimmers seem to break them easier. So I'd use them on, if you're using van nozzles, use them on a Pro S. Otherwise though, I would just use the 1800 with a Hunter Pro adjustable nozzle or a Rainbird MPR. Another 2-inch 1800, or I guess I haven't shown any other 2 inches, but another 1800 2-inch with a MPR 180 degree 15 foot. 1800s, by the way, they've been around since the 80s. They used to be like green colored, and then they switched to a black color, but they had like a different looking seal. And then they've kind of switched them again in the 90s, and then pretty much this design's been around since the early 2000s, or kind of the early 2000s. They've had this exact design. I guess they've switched the wording a little bit, with the bird part. They've switched that because like a new 1800, I'll show in a minute, they got rid of the bird part, and they made the letters a little more bold compared to the older ones. And they've kind of switched back and forth between it. But yeah, this one's I think a 2015, I believe. Yeah. I have a here. I have another 1800. I'll maybe show it in a sec. But yeah, here it is. This is a 6-inch 1800. This is the one it's gonna show. This one's made in 2020. This one's got the side inlet, and it originally came with a 15-foot adjustable nozzle. That 15-foot van nozzle is now on the Pro-Spray, and I switched it with a 10-foot Hunter Pro adjustable nozzle. I like the adjustable nozzles. I'll do a video more about spray nozzles and rotary nozzles, but these are for variable arc spray nozzles. I think the Pro adjustables are the best, in my opinion. For the Hunter ones, not Orbit, but the Hunter ones. This is another cheap Orbit. Here's also some Toro. This is our first generation 570 series. And like the older nozzles, they made them probably the late 90s, early 2000s. They made the variable arc nozzles. They had like the adjustable arc nozzles. They had like, it was weird. Is you could like each screw on the that would adjust its own section. So like these were really interesting heads. Actually, these nozzles are actually kind of fun to play with. Maybe I'll do a video on them soon. But yeah, here I'm trying to pop it up. Okay. So these are it. Like it kind of just adjusts like different. Each screw adjusted a different quarter of the circle. So yeah, these are pretty interesting heads. These 570s were from around 1983 or 4, so 80s. By the late 80s, early 90s, they switched to second generation. these are from my grandparents' yard, by the way. Those ones are from one of my old houses. But yeah, these are from my grandparents. I've switched out over the years. We've replaced so many of these, but I've kept about 3 of these ones. And they all have the cheap NPR nozzles. So yeah, here's another one. This is a full circle of the first generation. And then this is the current generation ones they've made since the late 90s. They've made them all, and they still do, unfortunately. This design, they make a low pressure one, but I don't know. The problem I've had with them is the standard ones is, man, these things will like stick up. And like, so the problem I've had with my grandparents' ones is, which we haven't had a problem really with the second generation ones, with the current generation 570s like this, they won't pop up at all, and then when we pop them up, they just stay up. So yeah, the seals are not the best quality, and I've seen some that just like the seal will just be so jammed that the seal will just actually pop out of the cap. So yeah, these 570s, I would highly discourage using them overall. And the nozzles with male threaded nozzles, the filters are a pain to get out. By the way, this is a Toro T-Van nozzle. This is 3-inch, by the way. And by the way, the first generation ones, it was normal to get them in a 3-inch. Like, they regularly came in a 3-inch. And then by the second generation, you'd usually find them in 4 inches. This is a Rainbird Sherpop. This one's I don't know how old it is, but yeah, it's not. This one's seen better days. The spring is totally ruined. Like, the spring is like broken on here. I think it's called bent. So yeah, it's got the older cap. They used to have like the thicker, like the non-see-through, like they're like the white colored caps that weren't see-through. And then they switched to, this is a brand newer one, they switched to more of a clear looking cap. This one had a van nozzle. I think I have the van nozzle somewhere. I don't know where it went, but yeah. Sherpops, in my opinion. I really like Rainbird spray bodies, but the Sherpops are just, they break fast. I mean, they have barely any threads on. Even the 1800s, people say that there's a problem with the threads on the 1800s. These have even less threads, in my opinion. These if they just get turned a little bit, like just barely turned, these like this much, like from that to that, the water will gush out of the bottom of the cap. It's just pretty bad, and the seals also go out easily. As you can tell, the seals are exposed. Like, dirt is exposed to the seals way easier. So these things can leak pretty easily. And I've seen these in Orbit had a version too, like a really cheap version just like this. They're one of their Watermaster spray bodies from back in the day. And I've seen these, like my great grandparents' system. One of these, I can't remember if it's the Orbit version or the Rainbird, but it just cap loosened over time over the years, and it just exploded. Literally, like the cap just came undone somehow, and like the thread, because of the threads not being good quality, the cap came off, and it just fell apart and just shot up in the air. So like the cap, like the whole assembly like came out. So yeah, so avoid these. Are cheaper isn't always the best option. That's just the truth, honestly. Here's a 180-degree fixed arc orbit head. These are literally the same thing as Rainbird Uni Spray. In fact, I've transferred each other's bodies into each other, and they're just, the canisters are literally the same threads, basically the same design. So yeah, now this one they made an error, really weird error with it. Is like, you see, it says 15 feet, and this one I haven't switched the nozzle out at all. We bought it 15-foot half pattern, but when you look at it, it says if it'll show 12. It says the 12, so as if it's a 12-footer. Now 12-footers, and I've seen them, they be brown color even for the fixed arcs. But when I pop this up, the 12-footer is actually a black color, oddly enough. So that's kind of an interesting error. Here's a Rainbird R-Van on this is the older style R-Van. The 17 and 24-foot ones, they were yellow like this, and then they switched to the red color. This is on the Uni spray body. Now they call this the 22SA. It's basically just a Uni spray with the R-Van. They call it SA. SA stands for simple adjust, just for if you're wondering. Same thing with like the rotors. Simple adjust is what SA meant. So yeah, R-Van's pretty cheap nozzles. In fact, I'd say they're cheaper than the MP-Rotators, but not as. But like you pay for a cheaper price to get one, but they're also just cheaper quality too. Here's 2 more orbits. Actually, 3 more. This is a. These are both the same head actually. 360 brass nozzles. The twin sprinklers is what I call them. This is my first ever spray body. So the K1 was my first ever sprinkler. This is my first spray head. Minus the nozzle. I've switched the nozzle. I don't know where the original one went, but yeah, this is the original spray body that I got back in 2017. This is a 4-footer yellow nozzle. Recently when they switched around 2018 or 19, they switched to the newer style spray bodies. They made it so like instead of being yellow where that black is at, this is yellow, so you can actually like see what nozzle you have, like how far it shoots by looking at the color instead of just looking at the number. And so this used to be yellow. Now this black part this black part used to be yellow. Now it's yellow, and this is now yellow. Or this is black, and this is now yellow. So yeah, smart design. This is a Hunter PS Ultra, which is based off of the PS sprays. This one's I think 1988 is around the time this one was made. Doesn't have a date code, but the system was 1988, I believe. It's missing the gray ring right here for a 17-foot nozzle, but yeah, this is adjustable arc, slim body, and they switched to the newer one. Oh, this was made in Mexico, by the way. They switched to the newer style, and they both had. You can get both with the big inlet filter. Like they both came with like the large filter screen right there. This one doesn't have it, but you can get if you get the one with the pre-installed nozzle, you'll get the big screen. This one had a flesh plug though, so it didn't come with the big filter. But yeah, I currently have the basic Hunter Pro adjustable 15-footer. This is another Irritrol pop, which has seen better days. It's kind of this is on the head on zone. This is the original head. I think it's been replaced another time since we put a new head in. But so this one was on my grandparents' system, zone 3. That does kind of a little over 90 degrees, maybe like 100, 110 degree head. It's currently a He-Van with on an 1800 body that I showed in my last sprinkler video of their system. This is the head that was there originally. Like, well, probably the original head is probably Toro, but this was the head originally there, like when they moved in. And so yeah, it's got the older looking adjustable nozzle. And then this is a Watermatic Max spray canister. This is the cheap Orbit Watermaster canister for their one's similar to the Sure Pop one. This is the one that's similar to the Rainbow Sure Pop. This is the canister for the cheap Orbit. And this is it's another 6-inch Rainbird 1800 with a 12A nozzle. And then my newest sprinklers I got just a few days ago are 2 Rainbird 1800s with the Pro adjustable nozzles. This one's got the 12-footer Hunter nozzle, and this one's got the 10-footer. So yeah, these are honestly for spray heads. These are the best combo. Is Hunter Pro adjustable nozzles on a Rainbird 1800 body. And now the Rainbird He-Vans do have better coverage, and when you get them brand new, Rainbird He-Van nozzles just have a nicer spray pattern, or at least the He-Vans do. But the problem is He-Vans, they get clogged very easily, and for how they're designed, it's harder to use that flat blade screwdriver to unclog it. So it's like He-Vans are nice when they're brand new, but once they get dirty, they're kind of just ruined. So I like the Hunter Pro adjustable nozzles more. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. Take care, and thank you guys very much for watching.